The doorbell rang at precisely 7:43 p.m. on a Tuesday. I know the time because I was in the middle of grading sophomore literature essays and had just written derivative but passionate in red pen when the chime broke the silence of our house. My wife, Monica, was in the kitchen chopping vegetables with the kind of precision usually reserved for serial killers or Michelin chefs. The rhythmic thud of the knife was oddly soothing until it wasn't. I opened the door, expecting a Girl Scout or someone trying to convert me. What I found instead was a young man, 18 or 19, tall, lean, with eyes that looked like a memory I hadn't recalled in years. "Mr. Keller?" he asked, voice shaky but direct. "That's me." He extended a hand. "I'm Eli Brenner. I'm your son." My grip on the doorknob tightened so hard my wedding ring clicked against the brass. I didn't say anything for a full 10 seconds. I just stood there, blinking like someone had dropped a live grenade into my foyer and asked me to guess what color it was. "I'm sorry, what?" "My mother was Jessica Brenner, University of Michigan, sophomore year. I was born January 8th, 2008. My brain did that thing where it flips through memories like a Rolodex on fire. Jessica, petite, dark hair, laugh like wind chimes in a hurricane. We'd had a whirlwind 3-week thing in college before summer break, pulled the plug. "You've got the wrong guy," I said out of instinct. But then he handed me a photograph. I didn't even need to look twice. There I was, younger, thinner, arm draped around Jessica. A memory frozen in time that didn't care I was now married, mortgage-bound, and responsible for watering the lawn every other Sunday. From the kitchen, Monica's voice rang out. "Adam, who's at the door?" I turned. Monica, this is Eli. He says he's my son." That's when the dish towel hit the floor. Monica didn't scream, credit where it's due. She just narrowed her eyes at me like she was choosing which organ to remove first. "You're what?" "I didn't know," I said. "I swear to God, Monica, you didn't know you had unprotected sex in college?" Eli, bless the kid, tried to intervene. "Look, I didn't come to cause trouble. My mom, Jessica, she passed away last year. Cancer. Her final wish was for me to find you." Monica crossed her arms. "And here I thought Tuesdays were just for tacos." Eli handed over a folded birth certificate and a letter written in fading blue ink. I couldn't read it at the time, not because the words were hard, but because my vision blurred from a pressure behind my eyes that felt a lot like regret. I invited him in. Monica didn't speak to me for the rest of the night. And that was the beginning, the match that lit the fuse. What Monica didn't know then, but I already suspected, was that Eli wasn't going to be the biggest surprise of the year. No, not by a long shot. I was about to discover that my wife, the woman I'd built a life with, wasn't just angry because I had a son. She was angry because she'd been planning to blow up our life herself. And suddenly, I was in a race to see who'd strike first. The day after Eli showed up, Monica didn't speak to me. At all. She didn't ask if I'd slept. I hadn't. She didn't look at me during breakfast. She poured herself coffee, poured me none, which in this house is a declaration of war. I tried to reach her. Tried the whole talk it through routine like we were still in some PG-rated marriage drama. "Monica, we need to." She cut me off with the flick of a spoon against her mug. "You always like surprises, right? Come on." I didn't know about Eli. I never heard from Jessica again. Not a letter. Not a, "You didn't know?" "Right," she said. "That's the same excuse people use for hitting parked cars." I didn't respond. I just looked at her. The same woman who had once cried because I gave her a handwritten card on our anniversary. And I thought, this anger isn't just about Eli. That's when I knew something else was off. Something I couldn't see yet, but I could feel in my bones like a storm an hour before it hits. At school, I buried myself in work. Kids were giving half-effort essays and calling it genius. I smiled, nodded, corrected them with more mercy than they deserved. But I wasn't focused on Romeo and Juliet. I was focused on Monica, on how cold she'd gone. So I did what every husband in denial eventually does. I checked her phone, not in some big dramatic way, just a casual glance when she left it charging in the kitchen while she took a bath, the way she used to. Except now, the screen didn't light up with Sudoku apps and recipe notifications. Now it was muted, always on Do Not Disturb, always upside down. The texts were deleted, of course. All clean, pristine even, as if my wife had suddenly become the Marie Kondo of emotional infidelity. But I still found one clue. A new contact. M. No last name. No emoji. Just a single message, tucked into the archive. Thursday. Same time. Nothing else. But it was enough. That night, I confronted her. Subtly. Casually. Like someone fishing for sharks with a paperclip. So, I said over dinner. You still seeing that book club on Thursdays? She didn't even blink. It's bi-weekly now. What? Oh, just wondering if I should make plans. Eli wants to meet again. Maybe grab dinner. That got her attention. You're meeting him again? Already. I looked up. He's my son, Monica. She smiled. But not the warm kind. The kind you see right before someone closes a coffin. You always were good at connecting with strangers. She stabbed a piece of broccoli like it owed her money. Thursday rolled around, and so did I. In a rental car, parked across from the Marriott on Westview Avenue. At 6:17 p.m., Monica walked out of our driveway wearing a scarf I bought her for our 5th anniversary. Classy, chic, deceptively warm. At 6:46 p.m., she walked into the hotel lobby. At 6:48 p.m., a man in a navy coat joined her. They hugged. Not a friendly hug. A lingering one. The kind that says, I've seen you without makeup and morals. I didn't follow them. Not that night. I didn't need to. Because by then, I wasn't after a confrontation. I was after confirmation. And that's what I got. So I took out my phone, texted Eli. Dinner's off tonight, kid. Something came up. But thank you. If you hadn't knocked on my door, I wouldn't have started noticing the smoke. Because where there's smoke, there's fire. And Monica? She'd been playing with matches for a while. Our anniversary fell on a Saturday that year. 15 years, if you're counting. Which Monica wasn't. She didn't say a word about it that morning. No card. No. Hey, remember when we danced barefoot in the kitchen with burnt pancakes and cheap wine? Nothing. Just coffee. Made for one. I told myself, maybe she forgot. She didn't. At 2:10 p.m., I watched her leave the house in full makeup, hair curled like it was trying to seduce the past, wearing heels she hadn't dusted off since our last real vacation, 3 years ago. The perfume she wore was strong enough to punch through drywall. Not one she wore for me. And I didn't say a word. Instead, I stayed home and finished building the backup I'd been quietly assembling all week. A little something called Plan B. See, while Monica thought I was crumbling quietly like a stale croissant, I'd been busy digitizing old receipts, exporting our shared bank statements, printing call logs from our family phone plan she forgot I managed. And while she was busy celebrating, I was setting up the binder. Oh yes, there was a binder. Black leather, tabbed by category. Financial discrepancies. Suspicious travel. Thursday night rendezvous. Her smiling at a man who wasn't me, caught on hotel security cam footage, courtesy of a friend at the front desk. Petty? Maybe. Necessary? Absolutely. Because I wasn't just preparing to leave. I was preparing to leave well. When she came home that night at 11:42 p.m., yes, I timed it. She smelled like wine and effort. She kicked off her heels at the door, strolled into the living room, and found me sitting there. Lights dim. Binder closed. Calm as a monk in a thunderstorm. Where have you been? I asked. She paused. With Sarah. We had dinner, then drinks. You know how it goes. I smiled. Not a wide smile. Just enough to say, I already know the plot. But please, keep performing. Did Sarah enjoy the red blend at the Marriott? Her face did that thing. That little twitch. A millisecond of oh. What? The concierge said it pairs well with secrets. She crossed her arms. What are you talking about? That's when I opened the binder. Turned it to a tab marked Simply Liar. Slid it across the table. She didn't open it. She just stared at the cover like it might bite her. I don't know what this is. You will, I said. Eventually. But not tonight. Then why show it to me? Because, I said, standing up, today's our anniversary. And I wanted to give you something thoughtful. Something that says, I see you. I walked past her to the stairs. Halfway up, I added, by the way, Eli's coming over for dinner tomorrow. What? She snapped. Yeah. Figured it's time for you two to bond. I didn't wait for her reply. I just kept walking. One step at a time. Calm. Steady. Already writing the next chapter in my head. Because Monica had made her move. Now it was my turn. I set the table like I used to when I cared too much. 3 plates. Cloth napkins. My best attempt at chicken piccata. Nothing fancy. Just enough garlic to sting the air and lemon to fake warmth. Candles? Absolutely. Ambience is important when you're orchestrating discomfort. Eli was coming over at 6:30. Monica hadn't said a word to me all day, but I could feel her watching me as I chopped parsley like it was a form of therapy. "Why are you doing this?" she finally asked, leaning against the doorway in leggings and that loose top she always wore when she didn't want to look like she was trying. "Doing what?" I replied. "This little dinner show. The forced family act. You think parading your long-lost son through here is going to make me feel guilty?" I turned to her, wiping my hands on a towel. "No, I think it's going to make you feel seen." She scoffed. "You're being dramatic. That's rich coming from the woman who wore stilettos to a Marriott." She flinched just a bit. Victory. Subtle, but noted. Eli arrived exactly on time. The kid had manners, which is more than I could say for 80% of my students and, at this point, my wife. "Hey," he said, stepping inside with a six-pack of root beer. "Hope you're okay with non-alcoholic." I wasn't sure. I laughed. "Perfect. Thanks. Come on in." Monica stood in the kitchen like a stranger who'd just broken into her own life. She smiled at him, tight and polite. The kind of smile you give TSA agents and nosy neighbors. "Eli," she said. "Nice to see you again." "You too, Mrs. Keller." "Oh, please," she waved it off. "Just Monica." He looked at me. I gave him the smallest nod, a warning disguised as encouragement. "Tread lightly, but tread forward." We sat down. First 5 minutes, harmless small talk. His classes, his interest in philosophy, my suggestion that he skip Kant unless he wanted a headache. Monica sipped wine slowly, watching him like he was a test she hadn't studied for. Every answer he gave seemed to bruise her ego just a little more. "So, Eli," she said eventually, tilting her head, "what made you finally decide to find your dad? I mean, 18 years is a long time." He took a breath. "My mom passed away last year. Her final wish was that I find him. She always said he didn't know. And after everything she did for me, it felt right." Silence. I let it sit. Let it sink. Monica blinked twice and looked down at her wine like it had just turned into a truth serum. Then she smiled. "That's sweet," she said. "Closure is important." Eli looked from her to me. "Has it been weird? I mean, for you guys?" I smiled. "Not at all. Monica and I are excellent at pretending things are normal." Monica's fork paused midair. "Oh, come on," she said, laughing too sharply. "Don't be so dramatic." Eli raised his eyebrows. "Sorry, did I say something wrong?" "Not at all," I said calmly. "You're doing great." We went back to eating, or at least pretending to. Monica took 2 bites, pushed her plate aside, and stood up. "Excuse me," she said. "I need some air." She disappeared onto the patio. Eli leaned in. "That went better in my head." I chuckled. "Yeah. Welcome to the Kellerman kitchen, where tension is always the secret ingredient." 10 minutes later, she came back inside. Her arms were crossed. Her cheeks flushed. Not from wine, but from realization. She knew something was happening, something she wasn't controlling, and that scared her more than any son from the past. "Listen," she said, not to Eli, but to me. "If you brought him here to punish me, it's not going to work." I set my fork down. "Punish you? No. That would require me to scream, flip a table, storm out. Maybe even throw a few cliches at the wall. But no, Monica. I just wanted to see how the truth looked in candlelight." She narrowed her eyes. "This is about your guilt. You cheated. 18 years ago. That's the root of this." Eli looked frozen. "I didn't mean to cause." "Eli," I interrupted gently. "This has nothing to do with you." I turned to her. "Let me make this very clear. Yes, Jessica and I had a brief thing before I ever met you. I didn't know she was pregnant. I didn't even know how to find her. I moved schools. She raised him alone. And I'm just supposed to believe that?" "No," I said. "You're supposed to read the birth certificate, the letter she wrote, the photo of me that you threw in the trash." Eli looked between us like a kid at a ping-pong match with emotional grenades. "I should go," he said. I shook my head. "You stay? We're done." Monica stared at me. "What does that mean?" "It means the show's over." I got up and walked toward the kitchen counter. Pulled out a manila folder I had prepped hours earlier. Quietly, deliberately. "I thought tonight would be the right time," I said, placing it in front of her. "Inside you'll find screenshots, timestamps, phone records, and hotel charges billed to our joint card." Her eyes widened. "You spied on me?" "No," I said calmly. "I observed. There's a difference. You were just too busy being clever to notice I was already catching up." She looked down at the folder like it was poison. I leaned in. "Happy anniversary, Monica. You're free now." Eli cleared his throat. "So, Should I help with the dishes, or? I burst out laughing. Honest, full laughter. It caught me off guard. No, kid, I said. You've already done enough. You just being here lit the fuse. Monica didn't say a word. She just sat there, silent, staring at the file like it might start smoking. And me? I went back to my dinner. The chicken had gone cold, but it still tasted like victory. The next morning, the kitchen was quiet. Not peaceful, not calm, just quiet. The kind of silence that hums in your bones when a storm has passed but the wreckage hasn't been cleared. Monica hadn't touched the folder. I'd left it on the dining table like a wrapped present no one wanted. She walked around it all morning, pretending it wasn't there, like it might explode if she got too close. I didn't press. I just sipped my coffee. Black. No sugar. Same as my mood. At 9:43 a.m., she finally spoke. You could have just asked me. I didn't look up from the newspaper. I did. A few times. You said you were at yoga, book club, your sister's. Always somewhere that conveniently required no photographic evidence. You could have trusted me. Now I looked at her. I did, Monica. That was the problem. She sat down across from me, arms folded like a lawyer prepping for a deposition. And what now? What's your grand plan? Humiliate me? Divorce me? Tell everyone I've been screwing around with. She stopped herself. I didn't help her finish. Instead, I said, you just did. She flinched. A small win, but I'd take it. She leaned back, staring at me like I was a stranger who'd suddenly learned how to read minds. I didn't plan to cheat on you, she said quietly. I almost laughed. Almost. Of course not. Affairs just sort of fall into people's laps, right? Like acorns in autumn. She sighed. You always do this. Make jokes when things get serious. And you always lie when they do. That shut her up. I stood, poured myself another cup. I wasn't even thirsty. It just gave me something to do with my hands. You want to know the part that really gets me? I said, still facing the sink. It's not the lying. Not even the betrayal. She tilted her head. Then what? It's that you thought I wouldn't notice. I turned around. You thought you were smarter than me. More cunning. You smiled through it. You played the role. And you thought I was so caught up in being dependable that I'd never see you switch scripts. Her face didn't change. But her neck? Her neck turned red. Which meant I was right. What do you want, Adam? The question came out flat. Not defiant. Not broken. Just hollow. I walked over to the dining table, opened the folder, and slid a single sheet across the surface. This. She read it. Her eyes widened. You're giving me the house. I nodded. Half of it. The part with the mortgage. And the leaky basement. And the tax burden. Enjoy. She blinked. So you're leaving? I nodded again. Already got a new place. 1 bedroom. Overlooks the lake. Great for peace and rebuilding dignity. And Eli? I paused. He's family. He gets a key. The silence between us stretched, thick with implications. She wasn't used to me leading the conversation. She was used to the quiet, agreeable version of me. The man who paid bills, mowed lawns, and said we'll figure it out. That version was gone. Is this revenge? She asked, almost softly. I smiled. No. Revenge is messy. This is precision. She sat there, stunned. For a woman who once gave a 14-minute speech at her cousin's bridal shower about owning your power, she suddenly looked like she couldn't remember where she'd put hers. I don't get it, she said. You're just walking away? No scene. No fight. That's it. Oh no, there's a fight, I said, sliding another document toward her. It's just already over. You lost. She picked it up, a single page from our joint bank account. What's this? Just a summary of every hotel charge made in the last 6 months. On our shared card. With timestamps. Cross-reference to your fake yoga appointments. She swallowed. You know what this is? I asked. She didn't answer. This is me giving you the rope. You tied the knot. I started packing later that afternoon. Nothing dramatic. Just essentials. Books. Clothes. My grandfather's watch. The mug Monica always made fun of, chipped and faded, but mine. She followed me upstairs like a ghost trying to haunt something it no longer owned. Where are you going? She asked. Already told you. The lake. And that's it. You're just gone. I zipped the suitcase. Not gone. Just no longer in orbit around you. That night, I left. Didn't slam the door. Didn't give her a final speech. I just left a sticky note on the fridge. Don't forget to water the plants. Or yourself. Good luck. 2 weeks passed. Eli and I met up a few times. Grabbed burgers, walked through the park, Started building something? Unfamiliar but good. He asked me once, "Do you think she'll change?" I shrugged. Doesn't matter. But she might apologize. She might. Doesn't mean I'm obligated to listen. He nodded. Then he smiled. You're a lot colder than I expected. I grinned. Not cold. Just done pretending the fire was keeping me warm. One morning, Monica sent a message. No text. A voicemail. Her voice was tight, filtered through rehearsed vulnerability. I miss who we used to be. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I thought you'd fight for me. I didn't know you'd just walk away. I didn't respond. Not out of spite. Out of peace. Because when someone mistakes your patience for weakness, the best revenge isn't rage. It's removal. The invitation came in a cream envelope with gold lettering. Monica Keller cordially invites you to celebrate her 42nd birthday. The irony of the word cordially wasn't lost on me. This was the same woman who once told me I microwaved eggs like I hated joy. But sure, cordially. The party was being held at the Hollow, a pretentious little wine bar downtown, with exposed brick and an indoor fig tree. The kind of place where people pretend $18 cocktails taste better than regret. I wasn't planning to go, until I noticed the return address on the envelope wasn't Monica's. It was his. The man's name was Drew. I'd only caught a glimpse of him at the hotel that night. Navy pea coat, leather loafers, smugness baked into his cheekbones. And now his name was on the return address. Not just Monica's man, apparently. Monica's co-host. So I sent back my RSVP. Delighted to attend. Looking forward to the show. Eli offered to go with me. I told him no. He didn't need to see it. Is this about revenge? He asked. No, I said, adjusting my tie in the mirror. It's about timing. And silence. And choosing the right stage. He smirked. You're scarier than I thought. I'm not scary, Eli. I'm prepared. The Hollow was packed. Low lighting. High-end music. People standing around with expensive wine and empty opinions. I walked in like I owned the place. Because in that moment, I owned something far more valuable than property. I owned control. And Monica? She saw me the moment I walked in. She looked startled. Not afraid. Not angry. Just surprised to see I'd aged backwards somehow. The truth is, letting go of a toxic situation will do that to you. I didn't look broken. I looked free. Adam, she said, walking over in a velvet dress that probably had an ego of its own. You came. Of course, I said. Wouldn't miss a celebration. You've made it to 42 years of reinventing the truth. That's impressive. She forced a smile. Please don't start. I haven't even warmed up. Then he walked over. Drew. About 2 inches taller than me, salt and pepper beard, confident handshake. The kind of guy who builds startup apps no one needs and wears bracelets with meaning. So you're Adam, he said. Nice to finally meet you. You too, I said, without sincerity. It's always interesting to meet the man holding the candle while someone else burns the house down. He blinked. Excuse me. I mean Monica, I added quickly, with a smile. She's quite the fire starter. We stood there, 3 of us in a triangle of tension. Monica tried to pivot. Adam's always been witty. Dry, I corrected. Not witty. There's a difference. She turned to Drew. I'll just go check on the cake. She walked off, probably to scream into a wine glass. I stayed. So how long? I asked Drew. How long what? The affair. You know, before the hotel meetings and secret phone calls. Was it emotional first? Or straight to the betrayal? He paused, then gave a half smile. You seem really calm about this. I am, I said. You see, I already did the hard part. The disbelief. The grief. The stupid phase where I wondered if it was my fault. And now I just enjoy the encore. He didn't know what to say to that. So I patted him on the shoulder, just once. A fatherly gesture for a man who didn't realize he was walking through the aftermath of someone else's storm. Then I walked over to the microphone. Yeah, that microphone. The one they had set up for birthday speeches. A mistake, really. One they'd regret. Monica's cousin was halfway through a speech about resilience and choosing joy when I stepped beside her, smiling. Mind if I say a few words? She hesitated. Then, God bless her, handed me the mic. Hi everyone, I said, lifting my glass. I'm Adam, the ex-husband. Polite laughter. Uncomfortable shifting. I just want to say a few words about Monica because, well, tonight is about truth, right? Now people were really listening. Monica is a woman of many talents. She can charm a crowd, decorate a house, plan an event like a seasoned general. But her greatest talent has always been storytelling. Her smile vanished. She once told our marriage like a fairy tale. Except it turns out I was the supporting character in her plot twist. The dependable one. The boring one. The guy who paid the bills while she pursued. Excitement. Drew started walking toward me. Monica looked like she was about to faint. So tonight, I'd just like to thank her. Because her betrayal woke me up. Her lies taught me something valuable. I looked directly at her. I stopped mistaking loyalty for love. And I stopped watering a plant that had already died. Then I raised my glass. To Monica, may your next chapter be half as honest as your smile. I stepped down. Left the mic on the stand like a dropped sword. I didn't stay for the cake. I didn't need to. Some things deserve no applause. Just an exit. As I walked out, someone clapped. I didn't turn to see who. Outside, the air was crisp. My car was parked 2 blocks away, right where I left it. Nothing dramatic. Just distance. Eli texted me as I reached the driver's seat. Did you go nuclear? I replied. No. Just lit a match and walked away. It took Monica 3 days to reach out. 3 days of radio silence after her birthday imploded in front of family, friends, and that man who thought he could step into my life without understanding who he'd replaced. When her name lit up my phone, I ignored it. Same with the second call. The third came with a voicemail. I deserve that, she said, her voice tight. But I never expected you to be this version of yourself. It's like you're a stranger. I played the message once. Then once more. Not because I missed her, but because I wanted to remember the sound of someone realizing they're no longer the center of your universe. The next time she showed up, it wasn't digital. It was in person. I came home from a jog, shirt drenched, headphones in, to find her sitting on the hood of my car like she belonged there. She stood when she saw me. Same old smile. Same hopeful eyes. Can we talk? About what? I asked, unlocking the door. The past? Or the parts you skipped when telling your version of it? She trailed off. You left so easily. I turned to her. No, Monica. I didn't leave easily. I left quietly. There's a difference. She stepped closer. Do you still love me? I studied her. Do you still love you? I asked. She didn't answer. And I didn't invite her in. I met Claire at the lake. She wasn't trying to meet anyone, least of all a man with baggage and a binder full of betrayal. But she had a laugh like honesty and eyes that didn't flinch when I told her I wasn't new to disappointment. We got coffee, then dinner, then silence that wasn't awkward. She didn't ask about Monica right away. She didn't need to. She could read the residue of someone else's fingerprints on the things I guarded. When she finally did ask, I kept it short. My ex-wife mistook my silence for stupidity. Claire nodded. And what did you mistake hers for? I smiled. Commitment. Claire was different. She didn't flinch when I showed her pictures of Eli. She didn't compete with ghosts. And most importantly, she didn't perform. With Monica, everything had been optics. The matching outfits, the curated dinners, the flawless social media captions about a marriage that was bleeding out behind the scenes. Claire didn't care about any of that. She brought over pizza and wore mismatched socks. She didn't ask what brand my couch was. She asked where I got the dent in the armrest. I used to sit here, wondering why she didn't love me anymore, I told her. Claire just leaned in and said, that must have been exhausting. Monica sent one final letter. Handwritten. Delivered by mail. Inside was a note. No apology. Just context. She wrote about the affair like it was a midlife identity crisis, some cosmic glitch where she felt invisible and wanted to know she could still be desired. She wrote, you didn't do anything wrong. That was the hardest part. You were steady. You were kind. You were always there. I just didn't want steady anymore. I wanted fire. I sat with that sentence for a while. Then I grabbed a pen and wrote back. And you got it. Just not the kind that warms you. The kind that burns bridges. I folded the letter. Put it back in the envelope. Didn't mail it. She didn't need a reply. She needed a mirror. It happened 6 months later. I ran into Drew. At a grocery store, of all places. He looked thinner. Hair Messier. That confident smirk. Gone. He didn't notice me at first, too busy arguing with someone on the phone. She's impossible, he hissed. It's like everything's a game. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't interrupt. Just waited until he hung up. Then I stepped beside him and grabbed a basket. He froze. Oh, Adam. Drew. He scratched the back of his neck. Didn't expect to see you here. Likewise. You look tired. He forced a chuckle. It's been a long few months. I said. pretending to look at a display of apples. Monica's still into fig-scented candles and emotional sabotage. He blinked. Look, he said. I didn't know what I was getting into. No one ever does, I replied, selecting a Granny Smith. Then I walked away.